I was thinking it's gonna be a no. I also was thinking like, damn, if I'm not, what the f is wrong with me? What is wrong with your girl? Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. I really need to get a better setup, but for right now, this is what we're working with. Today I wanted to do a video on kind of like my adult assessment. If you haven't watched any of my previous videos, I am 34 years old and I was diagnosed last year in about maybe August. So I was 33. I was diagnosed with autism and ADHD. I was already pre-diagnosed with ADHD in my early teens, but they wanted to test me again when I got my autism test. So we're gonna go over kind of like what happened during my assessment, like what they made me do, in case maybe you have to get assessed and you're just curious or whatnot. So let's get into what happened in my assessment. When you get assessed, there's kind of like 3 appointments. The first appointment was mostly just like a chit-chatty one where she would ask me questions, and it's kind of like just feeling out if you should be tested or not technically. I was extremely overwhelmed on the first assessment, I'm not gonna lie. Like when I sat down, I was so overwhelmed that I just burst out into tears. So I was just profusely crying, and I just kept telling her like, I'm so sorry, like I don't even know why I'm crying. Like there's no reason to cry. I really don't know why I'm crying. And she's like, you're just overwhelmed. Like it's fine. In my mind, in my 33 years of life, never once had I thought that I was overwhelmed and like that would cause my tears and stuff. I just thought like I was crazy or something. Like, little girl, why are you crying over just sitting and talking? Do you know what I mean? Like I literally felt like I was low-key like messed the fuck up. I never knew, I'm going off on a tangent, sorry, I have ADHD. I never knew that like overwhelm can cause like an autistic meltdown. I was mind blown, honestly, but she was like so calm about it. She's like, you're just overwhelmed, like it's totally fine. And, you know, I stopped crying. I was just sniffling a bit, but it got better as we, you know, progressed in the talk. But it was just mostly nothing like super interesting that I could remember. Just kind of like what my childhood was like, what school was like, how my jobs were like, relationships with my friends, things like that. And at the end, she said, you know, it's up to you, but I would get assessed. So she's technically saying that I, you know, she sees signs that it would be worth it for me to get assessed. And obviously, as me, I need to know everything. Like I cannot handle not knowing things. Let me know, baby. I need to know right now. Am I autistic? Yes or no? I need to know right now. So of course I said, let's do it because I wanna know the answer. So we scheduled the second part to the assessment. She gave me a link, and there was a bunch of questionnaires that I had to do before the second session in person. So I spent, you know, the week that I had before the next appointment, started going in on the questionnaires. I'm not gonna lie, they were quite difficult. I don't know why they were so difficult, but it's just the questions themselves. I was just confused a lot of the time. I'm 33 years old. I was like, Mom, reading through these questions, like what does this mean? Like, what do you think? Like, do I do this? Do I not do this? What is this talking about? And she'd be like, yes, Lauren, yes, you do that. So, I mean, I'm not even gonna lie. I really had to rely on my mom a lot for the questionnaire because half the time I was confused. And as I'm taking this test, I'm thinking, oh, like there's no way I'm autistic. I'm like taking the questionnaire, and I'm like, no, she's gonna tell me I'm not autistic. I don't feel like my answers are giving autism. So I was really thinking like, yeah, when I do this in-person thing, like I'm not gonna be autistic. That was really kind of like what I was thinking. But at the same time, well, as I was thinking it's gonna be a no, I also was thinking like, damn, if I'm not, what the f is wrong with me? What is wrong with your girl? If she's not autistic, there's something up, and I don't know what to do. So it was honestly like a 50-50 of I'm not gonna be autistic, I'm not it, it's gonna be a no. So at the same time, but if it is a no, what the is wrong with me? And then if it's a yes, it's like, well, fuck, now I'm autistic. Like, what the heck? I've lived 33 years of my life. So I felt like either way, I was gonna be fucked, you know? So I go in for the second interview, and it was mostly like a game. I felt like the whole thing was a game. Very bizarre as a 33-year-old woman, but you know what? It is what it is. I'm gonna try to insert like a picture of this, but the first thing she made me do was a puzzle. It's like a shape of something, and there's like little shapes inside of it. The gag is that she's going to give me the pieces to place them in there. I can't just pick what I want and place it in there because they're different colors, you know? She's gonna give me the color that she wants to give me. So we start off and I'm making my little pattern, you know, I'm chilling. And then all of a sudden, it's like she noticed my pattern and decided to F me up and give me a color that didn't go in my pattern. And I'm like, oh, I know what she's trying to do. She's trying to get me right there. She's trying to get me by purposely not giving me the color for my pattern. Like, dang girl, you're trying to sabotage my artwork. Then we finished, it was done. She never said anything, but I said, I know you were sabotaging my portrait. And she started laughing. She's like, you think? I'm like, yeah, you saw I was making a pattern and you said, Skeet, you're not gonna finish this pattern. I'm gonna give you a color that's gonna screw your whole pattern up. So that's what we had to do. So that was the first one. The second one was a book, but there was like no words to it. So basically she's like, gives me this book and she's like, okay, you're gonna read it to me, but there's no words. So you have to like make them up or something. And I'm like, okay, wonderful. So I opened the first page and there's like frogs and I'm like, this book looks ominous. Like this is an ominous scene. I don't like what I'm seeing. How is this a children's book? It's making me feel things like the frogs. Like what is happening? Like I don't even like this book. This is the first page. And she's like, okay, we'll just switch the page then if you don't like that. I'm like, I don't like that page. It's ominous and makes me feel weird. So basically, I didn't know what to say about this book because it was wild. Like the frogs are floating in the air. Like I don't know what story to make. So I don't even think I made a story. I think I was just explaining what I saw. I don't even think a story was told. Oh, there's a frog and it's floating in the air. Like I was kind of chuckling a bit because I'm like, this is crazy right now. I don't think I did that correctly, if I'm honest. But it ended. The third part of this assessment now was, she said, can you describe how to brush your teeth? I've heard this a couple times that in autistic assessments, they ask you like how to brush your teeth or something like that. And I'm like, how to brush your teeth? Like the steps or like what? She's like, yeah. She's like, just if you were to tell somebody who doesn't brush their teeth how to brush their teeth, like what would you say? I'm like, okay, whatever. So I think I went through like every step so that if like somebody never ever brushed their teeth ever in their entire life, they would know the steps to brushing your teeth. That's what I did. The last part to this assessment was there was a brown paper bag and in it were small items. And basically she said we're to pick out 4 items from the bag and then make up a story. There is nothing more in this world that I hate than coming up with things on the spot. It stresses me out. Like I wanna think, I wanna prepare, I want to I need to think, and there's no time for that when they're like, do this now, like think of it now. I get stressed the fuck out, I'm not gonna lie. So I'm already thinking like, great, love it. So she said, I'll go first. And I said, perfect, because then I'm gonna be able to see the pieces and come up with a story as she's doing her story. So she does her little story about like a boat or something and like this one thing. I mean, none of the pieces make sense. I'm not gonna lie. They don't make sense at all. I'm looking at the pieces and like, okay, I'm trying to come up with my story. I'm like thinking of my story as she's telling her story. And then she finishes and says, okay, it's your turn. And I say, wonderful. And she says, okay, pick your pieces out of the bag. And I said, just yeah, there's more pieces in the bag. I said, I'm not using your pieces. And she says, no, you're gonna get your own pieces. And I'm like, but I just came up with a story. And she's like, well, I'm sorry, you gotta get your hand in the bag and pick up some new items. So right then and there I knew I was gonna fail. So I picked out my 4 items. I think I had like a toy car, like a piece of string, popsicle stick, and something else, but I can't remember. And I was like, okay, perfect. I mean, a car is a car, so I already have like an item that I can like, we're in the car, right? So basically I was like, you know, we're driving it, me and you are driving in the car, and we drive over a snake, because that's the shoestring. Like, we're driving over a snake. And she's like, uh-huh. Then I'm like, okay, we're gonna drive over the toothpick. I said, oh, now we're driving over a little tree. And she's like, beautiful story. Yep, kind of realistic of a story, which was very different from her made up one. That was it for that portion. She said, okay, we're gonna review everything, you know, review the questionnaires, my notes from this session, and then on the 3rd one, we're gonna talk about my findings. Cool. So I waited another week, and you know, I was talking to my mom, and I was like, it's gonna be a no. I said, yeah, I really think she's gonna tell me no. I think she's gonna say you're not autistic. So I go in, I'm a little nervous because like I said, if I'm not autistic, what the fuck is wrong with me, right? But from the questionnaire and the things, I kind of felt like I just wasn't. So I get in and she wants to talk. And I say, skirt, hold up, ma'am. Do you have the answer here? I said, before we go into all of this drama llama, I need to know yes or no. And she's like, oh, okay, you don't want to wait. I'm like, no, I want the answer. Like, then we can like go on. Like, obviously, if you don't tell me the answer now, it's all I'm gonna be thinking about while you're talking, and it's not gonna connect because all I'm thinking about is the diagnosis. So she said, okay. So she gets her paperwork out and she says, okay, I'm diagnosing you with level 1 autism. And I was like, excuse me? I said, oh. And I kind of just like sat there for a second, like, huh? Like, I told myself in my brain that like I didn't think I was, you know? Like, I felt like my questionnaire and everything like was not autistic enough, you know? And she started like reading her, you know, paperwork, and I was in like the 90th percentile in a lot of things, and I was like kind of shocked. But then, you know, we kept going, and she's like, yeah, you are definitely level 1 autistic, and you also have yet high levels on the testing for ADHD as well. So I guess I have what people call ADHD. So it was like kind of shocking in a way, because I really thought walking into it that she was gonna say no. The information, I think, was really helpful for me. It really was, because I needed to know. I needed to know the truth. I needed to know if I had it or not, and that way I could move on with my life, think about how to accommodate better for myself. Now looking back on it, I'm really glad that I did do the assessment and I got the answers, because I needed to know. And that was basically, you know, the last session was just kind of going over the paperwork that she did, talking about all the levels in certain things that I was reaching, what it meant, and also talking about my ADHD tests and how I scored on that, and things like that. It was kind of just a review of everything, and that was it. 3 sessions. The longest one, I think, was the second one. I think it was almost 2 hours. The first one, I think, was an hour, and I think the third one was almost an hour. It was kind of reviewing the paperwork and the questionnaires and things, and getting the official diagnosis. But yeah, that was my story and my diagnosis. I'm sure maybe assessments are different in other places or other ways. I don't know, that's just how mine went. Yeah, that was just kind of what I want to talk about today, was how my assessment went and what I did and all that kind of stuff. If you have any questions or you want me to talk about anything autism related or anything like that, go ahead and let me know, and I will gladly do that for you guys. So that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this little video. Stay tuned for some more videos, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.